was raised always in the church, but I made some bad decisions. Was raised by my grandmother. Lost my mom at an early age, at the age of 4. Turned around and lost my grandmother and my son. Graduated in high school with high honors, and of course, experienced the club life, fast life at times. Started drinking excessively. But the biggest down spare was when I lost my son. At the age of 15, he was murdered, and I went to a dark side, really dark side. But giving God the honor, the glory, I always know that my grandma always told me, you start with Christ first. He was the head in the beginning in my life. And once I found Christ and discovered Christ, I discovered peace. Because I dealt with an inner pain of losing my son that I felt like that it was my fault. And the enemy has a tendency of trying to lure you back into a place of darkness and make you want to go back doing the things that you used to do. And money was an option that I really just dug into. I'm still a work in progress. I'm really asking, each and every day that God continue to guide my life. And in my situation, though, I had got locked up, and I thought that was a bad situation, but not knowing that God was setting me up for something for a long time duration for the rest of my life. So with me being locked up in Wright Street, of course, did almost a year and a half. I found God. I went on many fasts, and I prayed and asked God to give me another chance, and cried. We all been there before. And a guy, told me about this program called Better Way. And I was interested about it, of course. And first thing I was thinking that, I can learn more of the Bible. I need to change my life. And I did some research. So I read the book, and coming discovering reading the book, I really felt like this was a place for me. I was very grateful on the first day I was here. Being locked up a year, um, I wanted some hot food. I wanted something to eat. Because me being a chef, I'm used to eating, eating right, eating the right food. So that was one thing. I get here to this program on the first day, and also I'm just gonna keep it real. I thought it was a cult. I really did. I thought about the movie Get Out, and I was like, what is this place here? Seeing people with purple and gray shirts on, and I asked myself, how hard it is. Couldn't speak at a certain time, devotion, and that was something I was, as a kid, was raised up anyway. Wake up in the morning, say good morning, and I'm not a morning person, so reverence in the morning was very easy for me. So with me going and waiting to 8 o'clock in the morning not to speak, that was very easy. Walking in a straight line at the age of 49, I felt like that was kind of like different for me. But God always says that obedience is the key of all things, to follow my commandment and my instructions. So first I had to submit. I had to follow with obedience. I had to surrender, give my life over to God and say, God, you got this situation. Of course, we're going to have problems with, individuals. So being in this program, as I grow from day one to this day, I have really learned to notice that God places people in people's lives for a reason. And I really thank God for that. The biggest thing in this program is to gravitate to a brother. It's good to have brothers, but it's good to have a brother that you can confide in, that you can talk to, that you can talk about anything about. So I tell all these guys that's coming in Grace House, gravitate to your brother and talk to that brother, because when you talk to that brother individually, you can talk to him about anything. I can always remember my grandmother said that you can't tell everybody your business, but you can always talk to God. But you can also talk to that brother. And one of the things about this program is that talking to that brother when you finna get ready to leave the program, when you're going through something at home, when you're going through either a spouse or whatever you may be going on with, in your life, is something that I really grown, in this program. not remind yourself of. When I first came in the program, I didn't even want to be around none of these guys because I don't hang around men. That's one of my things. So as I got in the program, I noticed that brothers would come to me that they want to talk, and that's when I had to finally use the word submit. I said, okay, God, you sent this guy in my life for a reason. I'm going to give this guy a shot. Being baptized was something that I had already did when I was a kid, because I always said that I grew up in the church anyway, baptized basically like in a creek, old church, baptized like at the age of 9. But this time was different. It was different. I felt that when you go on a journey with a group of brothers that you've been on for maybe 9 to 10 months, you're going on an actual vacation, but you're actually going on a group of brothers that's actually on the same path that you're trying to do. All of y'all are seeking God. So when you go and get baptized and you got Brother John and he asks you, what are you leaving out here in this water? See, as a kid, I wasn't asked that question. That's when you know in your life that you're sincere. Not saying I wasn't sincere then, but as you grow older, you grow more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And he asked you them words. He said, "What are you asking God to do?" And I never forget. I asked God to put in my heart to forgive myself. That all the time I used to fault myself when losing my son because I wasn't there in his life. The enemy was really beating me up. I really went into a dark world. When I left it out there that day, that's when I felt that it was a release of something in my life. I got closer to God. I started to read my devotion more heavily. My prayers got heavier. I was in a spiritual form, and I was able to tell God, talk about my loss to my son. That was one of the things I could never do. I could never talk about the loss of him, and that was one of the greatest experiences I had down in Florida. I was reading Philippians chapter 2 Sunday, Saturday, and meditating on that word. And Timothy wrote a letter to the Philippians, which is Philippi. He told them, he said that I'm no longer with y'all. Now you have to follow these instructions. The first thing came in my mind was better way, because I'm at the end of this program now. These instructions was that these 18 months that I was doing devotion, I'll have to continue on doing these devotions. And I was like, wow, that's one of the things how God talked to me. He said that, Timothy said that, now that I'm not with you, and I put it in a sentence as now that I'm not with Better Way, now I must continue to follow these instructions. These 16 months that you have been doing the devotions, continuously going to church, serving God, doing all these things, now that you're not at Better Way, you have to continue to follow these instructions. And I thought about it. I was like, God, you're talking. Then he said, now you must go out and exercise your salvation. So now as I go out, I must go out and exercise my salvation. Exercising my salvation, that I must continuously to work into the church, stay connected to the church, and do the things of the church. Without doing these things right there, I'm going to fall head first. And them are multiple things that I'm going to do. My devotion is my tone that is set during the day. I even meditate on the word. I pray on the word. I even listen to Bishop T.D. Jakes, a lot of my ministers, Tony Evans, Frederick. I listen to a lot of them throughout the day to stay in the spirit. And to be in the spirit, you can overcome many obstacles. And that's one of the things that I said I'm going to continue to do. Now, once I leave the program, job-wise, I always used to make plans. But now I'm going to let God direct my path. Because I've been trying to make these plans for 49 years, and I just been hitting the wall head on. And God said, Let me guide your steps and let your presence be felt. So I'm going to let God guide me to what He wants me to do. If it's being a peer specialist, if it's doing my catering, my food truck, um, whatever God wants me to do right now, I'm at that point of just surrendering.